If you believe money comes from working harder, this video might quietly break that belief forever. Because right now, somewhere in the world, someone is earning more in 1 hour than you might earn in an entire year, and they are not working harder than you. That thought alone feels uncomfortable, almost unfair. You were taught that effort equals reward, that discipline guarantees success. So why does it feel like no matter how hard you push, money still feels tight, stressful, always one step ahead of you? This matters more right now than ever before. Inflation is eating savings, jobs feel less secure, assets are getting more expensive faster than wages can keep up. If your only strategy is hard work, you are running on a treadmill that's speeding up. Meanwhile, the 1% aren't running at all. They're standing in a different place entirely. And once you see where that place is, you'll realize the real danger isn't failing, it's playing the wrong game without knowing it. Most people think money is a reward for effort. The 1% think money is attracted to leverage. That difference sounds small. It's not. Effort is linear. You put in 1 hour, you get paid for 1 hour. Leverage breaks that relationship. One decision, one system, one asset can pay you thousands of times over. Here's where things go wrong. Society praises effort loudly and quietly ignores leverage. We clap for the hardest worker in the room, not the one who built the system everyone depends on. The 1% notice this early. They ask one question repeatedly. If I stop showing up, does the money stop too? If the answer is yes, they don't call it wealth, they call it a job. Once this clicks, you stop chasing effort and start hunting for leverage, and that shift alone rewires your financial future. The next mental separation the 1% make is between income and wealth. Income feels powerful because it's visible. Salary, bonus, overtime. Wealth is quieter, slower, less exciting at first. That's why most people never build it. Income feeds today, wealth feeds tomorrow. Governments understand this deeply. That's why income is taxed every year, while long-term assets are often treated differently. Not because it's unfair, but because assets create stability and growth. The 1% know income is temporary by default. Wealth is designed to last. So instead of asking, how do I earn more, they ask, what do I own? That question feels boring, but boring questions often lead to extraordinary outcomes. Most people miss this because income feels like progress. Ownership feels like patience. The wealthy choose patience. Now let's talk about risk, because this is where fear controls most financial lives. The average person avoids risk at all costs. The 1% avoid unmeasured risk, but they are far more afraid of standing still. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Doing nothing is also a risk. Inflation guarantees it. Central banks openly state that cash loses purchasing power over time, yet people still treat cash as safety. The 1% see this clearly. They don't ask, what if this goes wrong? They ask, what if I do nothing for 10 years? That long-term lens changes behavior instantly. You stop obsessing over short-term noise. You start evaluating decisions based on asymmetry, limited downside, meaningful upside. This is why they look calm during volatility. They planned for it. Time is the asset most people waste without realizing it. You can lose money and recover. You can't rewind time. The 1% understand this at a gut level. They don't measure productivity by hours worked. They measure it by outcomes created. That's why they protect their calendar so aggressively. They eliminate low-impact tasks without guilt. They delegate early. They automate relentlessly. Most people stay busy because busyness feels safe. It looks like progress. But busyness is often avoidance in disguise. Avoidance of thinking. Avoidance of deciding. The wealthy carve out time to think deeply because one good decision can outperform years of hard work. When you start valuing thinking time, your financial trajectory quietly changes. Debt is another area where the mental model flips completely. Most people hear debt and think danger, stress, traps. The 1% think structure, cost, purpose. Governments run on debt. Corporations expand using debt. Central banks manipulate debt to control entire economies. Debt itself is neutral. What matters is what it's attached to. The wealthy avoid debt that buys lifestyle and embrace debt that builds capacity. Here's where people misunderstand and copy the surface without the mindset. They take debt without understanding cash flow or downside. The 1% obsess over repayment sources before borrowing. They ask, does this debt create more than it costs? If not, it's rejected instantly. This is not about being fearless, it's about being precise. Spending reveals mindset faster than income ever will. Most people spend emotionally and save whatever remains. The 1% reverse this instinct. They decide who they want to be financially first, then allow spending to support that identity. This isn't extreme frugality, it's intentional alignment. They don't ask, can I afford this? They ask, what does this delay? Every dollar spent is a vote for a future. Most people vote impulsively. The wealthy vote strategically. That's why they often look understated while their net worth compounds quietly. They don't chase validation through consumption. They chase freedom through control. Once you feel that control, overspending loses its emotional grip. Learning is another silent advantage. Most people stop learning about money once formal education ends. The 1% treat financial understanding as a lifelong skill. They study incentives. They watch how money moves through systems. They read central bank signals not to predict tomorrow, but to understand direction. Markets don't move on facts. They move on expectations. The wealthy know this. That's why they're rarely surprised. Most people react late because they outsource thinking to headlines. The moment you stop reacting and start understanding, panic fades. Confidence replaces it. Not arrogance, but calm clarity. The deepest difference, though, isn't strategy. It's identity. Most people carry a quiet belief. I'm just not good with money. The 1% never accept that label. They see money as a language. You don't need to be brilliant. You need to be fluent enough to avoid costly mistakes. Even when they hire experts, they stay mentally engaged. They don't abdicate responsibility. This identity shift changes everything. You stop copying what others do and start understanding why they do it. You stop chasing shortcuts and start building frameworks. Money stops feeling mysterious. It becomes understandable. And what's understandable becomes manageable. When you step back, the message isn't work less. Hard work still matters, but effort without leverage is exhaustion. The relief comes from realizing the system wasn't broken, you were just taught the wrong rules. The clarity comes from seeing that wealth isn't about grinding harder, but thinking differently for long enough. You don't need to join the 1%, you need to stop thinking like the 99%. Once that shift happens, money stops feeling like a constant threat and starts feeling like a tool you can actually use. If this changed how you see money even slightly, stay with this channel, not for hype, for long-term clarity. And comment with one belief about money you're starting to question, because that's where the real shift begins.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more inspiring content. See you in the next one.